Alright everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be creating a to-do list app on Python GUI. And first thing you want to do is to open up your IDLE, which is Python IDLE. You can just type IDLE, and what you want to select is this IDLE. So once you selected your IDLE, you're going to have a page like this which shows the Python version and your system size. So what you want to do next is to navigate to the file, then open a new file, click on open a new file, and you're going to have your file here. So this is where we are writing our code. So once you've done that, and you just comment your to-do list app. So the first step is we are going to import the library we are going to use. Import Tkinter as tk, and from inside of our library, from Tkinter we want to import a message box. Alright, so the message box is going to show warnings in case there's error, or if we want to display a particular message, we're going to have it to display. Okay, so the next step is to define a function that will handle tasks inside. We're going to create a class function, and a class function is object-oriented programming. So its duty is to make different functions, like bind different functions of different specific tasks together. Alright, and so now this first line of code is for the layout of our app, and we want the app to have a title of to-do list app, and the geometry, which is the size of the app, is going to be 400 by 500. And so let's enable show line numbers so we can see what we are doing. Okay, so I like to see what I'm doing when I'm writing my code, especially if I'm building a GUI. So I want to see the size, and so we can run. So to run it now is, remember the root here is for the window, like the entire frame of the app, and then root.tk is going to start the app. To let's call this start app, and the main function is for it to keep the app running until the user closes the entire app. So that's what it does. And so we can go ahead to run and see what our app looks like, and there we go. So here it is. So we have this line here, which is the horizontal axis to be 400 in size, and we have this vertical axis to be 500. So this is the size of our to-do app. So back to the code, and the next step we want to do is we want to add So the next step is we add an empty list, which is the function of this is to store whatever we are going to type inside of the app. So it's going to be stored inside of our empty list. And the next one is we are going to create a widget. So the next step is going to be creating our elements, which is the size of the box where the user is going to type in a message. And so we are going to say for it to receive the entry is going to be entry.true. So, and the entry is going to be inside of our windows, and then we are going to give it a weight of 30, and the font area and the size of the fonts. And now we are going to pack the entry inside of our widget and then give it a padding of pi, which is 10. So when you run the code, we are going to have this. So this is our entry box, and then it has the padding of 10. So this white spaces we have here is what we just designed with that particular function. Okay, so we added some few things, which is right here we added a button, which is okay. So let's call these buttons. The first button is to add tags, so we're going to have add tags, and then add tags, which is the name of the button, and it's going to be inside of our app. And then we want something to happen once we click on the button, and then so for the button to perform the action, we're going to use command equals self.addTags, which is the button, and then the font size of the button is going to be 12 as usual, and we're going to give it a padding of Y as is, and then the size of that button is going to be 5. The next one is we want a list box. We give it widget of 35, and the height of it is going to be 15, and the font size is 12, and then we give it a padding of 10, and it's going to be on the Y axis. The next one is once the user has completed the tags, we want to be able to mark the tags as complete, so we give it a padding of same size. So we're going to have button called mark as complete, and then once the user completes the task, we can be able to click that, and we are going to assign it to be the pack of. So we are going to pack the button and then inside of the function, and we give it a padding of 5. The next button is, in case you didn't see what I typed there, and remember I'm using area, and the size of the font I'm using all through is 12. And so the next thing we want to do is we want to add another button, which is the delete button, and the function is to delete tags in case we made an error or we click enter by mistake, then we should be able to delete the error from our tags. And so we assign a button which is delete tags. So we pack the button and give it a padding of 5. Okay, so there's no functions to handle this button for now. If I run the code, I'm going to have an error because there's no functions that we handle them. So okay, so let's see. Yes, the app comes up, but we still have error, which, so let's go ahead now and then define a function that handle these tags. So the next function is bind enter key to add tags. Alright, so the entry.bind is going to bind the function to our add tags, and then it's going to return whatever the user enter right here. Okay, so the next step is we're going to define a function. So this function handles what? Add tags. Remember, your self allows you to access or modify whatever you enter. So we say tags.self, then entry.get So whatever we entered inside of our message box be an entry, and the function here is to get the entry. And we go ahead to set conditions like, okay, so if a user enter anything, we want it to be text, and that text is going to be append, and once it's complete, okay, it's going to skip to the next one, and which is what update the list inside of our list box. The next one is to delete a tags from the list, and we have an else statement, which is to show warning if the user did not put in anything inside of the message box, and if the user did not type anything and then you click enter, so we want it to show a warning. Okay, if we run our code now, we are still going to have error. So let's complete the rest of the functions. Alright, so up next we have update list function. So this function is going to handle any updates we are going to make. Alright, and we use a for loop to like access individual. We use a for loop to access individual tags we have inside of our list, and we want it to be able to display. So in case we complete the tags, we want it to display like a check mark, else we just want it to be, if the task is not completed, then we just want it to just be a plain text, which is an indication for an undone task. To the next one, we have what mark complete. So we want to mark complete a task, and so we define the function mark complete, and in case there's an error, so we use the try statement to handle try and except to handle error in case there's error. And so now inside of our app, we want to be able to like select using the mouse cursor to select the particular task we want to delete, for example, or maybe want to mark as complete. The next one, we want to be able to like select the index for the completed task, and then we also want to be able to like update the selected task. And in case there's an error, we want something to happen, which is what show warning, please select a task. In case there's an error and the user click on update or mark complete and there's nothing selected, so we want to be able to like mark complete. Okay, so the next one is going to be our delete tags key, which is, so in case we have error, we use the try statement to handle that. So now our user should be able to like select the actionable points where we want to delete the information. So using the mouse cursor, we should be able to select, and so once we select that, we want to be able to like pop the selected index. So your pop is going to like delete just like the regular Python. From your list comprehension, you have something like pop, so your pop is going to like remove the last item on the list, but in this case we use it to like select what the mouse is selecting, and once that has happened, then we want to like update the list, like minusing the, want to be able to update the list, the current list, minus the deleted item. So alright, so in case there's an error, we want something to happen, which is we want to have a message box to show warning, please select a task if the user didn't select a task. Okay, so let's try again. And so now our code is complete, and we can go ahead now to run. So let me reduce this a little. So we can go ahead now to start our app. Alright, so here we are. We have everything we needed. So the first button is to add tags. So let's add the tags and test our app to see if it's running. And alright, so let's say the first task is going to be ski, and the date for it is going to be on 2nd 11 2025. Okay, and so right here we're able to add that to our tags. And okay, so let's say the next task is going to be like dinner. I don't know if I spelled that correctly. And okay, so I have bedtime. Alright, so I have added list of tasks that I want to perform. And the next thing I want to do is, alright, I want to be able to select my tags and mark as complete. So the task is complete, be able to mark. Or perhaps I want to delete the tags. I just choose delete, and right here I have another one which is delete. And thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again. Stay tuned and subscribe to see